Hi guys, welcome back. This video is about baby NIO. So ever since I started my research on NIO, early last year in 2020, I have built my confidence in NIO every step of the way. After I spent hours and hours of research into NIO, I kept increasing my position on NIO and made it into my biggest holding in my portfolio. And that was way before the big run-up last year when everybody started to know NIO. And after that, I would just close the book and try to forget about the short-term price action as long as my long-term view on the company has not changed. I have posted many videos about NIO to share my in-depth analysis and research on NIO. And then every once in a while, I would check on the news to see what's new with this company. And so far with NIO, what's happened within these past few months have more and more confirmed my belief or long-term vision on NIO. When I evaluate a company, first thing I look at is the business model, because the business model can basically decide how far this company can grow in the future, how much potential there is. In this video, I have shared my full research and understanding on NIO's unique business model. And because of this model, it's set up for a great beginning, a great foundation. I said because the founder Li Bin had fully maximized the power of internet mindset, the internet business model, to build an open business platform, an ecosystem that's evolving around the core users, the consumers. And this platform, this group of users, would only attract more and more source of income, revenue, based on more cooperations that it can attract. As long as they can still engage with this group of precious users, there would be more and more source of revenue to maximize their profit with this open platform they're building. And after I said that, we saw the Chinese real estate group partner with NIO to build more battery swap stations in February, and in April that Ford wants to partner up with NIO to use their infrastructure for battery swap. And the biggest oil company in China, Sinopec, is working with NIO to build 5,000 battery swap stations. And I really believe that we're going to see more and more partnerships like this in the future, because this is how powerful the ecosystem is. This is how powerful the internet mindset and internet business model is. Remember, I have explained in the video that A is using B, but C is paying for B. This is the kind of business model that can go viral and extend to unlimited applications. This is why I think NIO is gonna have much more source of income in the years to come. So then when we give NIO a valuation, it should be the number of customers times the lifetime value per customer. And the lifetime value per customer is going to keep growing because of the unlimited applications into this ecosystem that has years to come. And the next thing is to look at the moat of the company. This is very important to see how strong this company is facing massive amount of competition. So far, NIO's strongest moat is the battery swap system working with the BaaS model. As I gave a metaphor before, it is an iOS system of Apple that is very hard for competitors to copy or to catch up with. And I don't mean only by the intellectual property or the patents they have claimed, but more importantly, the massive infrastructure it has built and to continue building, as well as the consumer behavior, the consumer habits they have built over the years. And this is even harder to build than the stations, the concrete material. As I said before, people's habit is the most difficult thing to build. It requires a lot of time and money. It is a lot of risk taking, because sometimes even though a lot of money or time is wasted, the habit is still not built because it's not intuitive. It's big risk and big reward to try to change people's behavior, to change consumer habit, or to build a consumer habit. Many years ago, Apple had taken the big risk and built the habit from scratch. They have built the iOS system, integrated from software to hardware, not compatible with any other non-Apple coding. They took a complete different approach than everyone else. They took a big risk. They have succeeded, and they had years to harvest from that as reward. And I believe this is the same thing for NIO. That is why a lot of investors had been skeptical on NIO throughout the year of 2019 to the beginning of 2020, because it was risk-taking to begin with, but they have succeeded to make it work. That was the most difficult beginning, but because of that, I think NIO would have years to harvest from the effort and the risk taken since the beginning. They had successfully built a consumer habit. They had built an iOS system of their own. And now they would enjoy the stickiness with the consumer base and the power to price. And the power to price is very important, especially when the whole world is under the fear of inflation. They are changing the mindset of what people think about Chinese car. They are so far the only premium Chinese EV staying ahead of the competition. That's why I said now that the EV space is getting more and more competitive with so many newcomers, new startups, or the old car companies transforming into EV, the industry would only get more and more competitive. 5 years from now, I believe the EV landscape will be entirely different than what we see right now. But I strongly believe that NIO would be one of the last in the end, one of the winners. Knowing that had put my mind much at ease. They have successfully made millions and millions of Chinese being proud of Chinese cars, and I see this more and more obvious. Just for this, NIO is the game changer. That should be written in history about the milestones of Chinese cars evolving. Before, a lot of analysts had questioned NIO because of the pricing that's quite close to Tesla. And especially Tesla is slowly decreasing their price. They were getting skeptical on NIO's sales. They think no one would buy NIO if Tesla is getting cheaper and cheaper. But in early February, I made a video and I predicted that NIO's market share in China would grow more and more, while Tesla's market share in China would decrease over time. I didn't say it because Tesla's share price dropped. I said it when Tesla was still in the 800 range and before the recent PR crisis they had in China. And back then, I remember Cathy Wood said that Tesla would still dominate the market in China. And now she had changed her mind and said that the winner of the Chinese EV market will be a Chinese brand like NIO. And instead, the Chinese manufacturer Tesla would export to Europe because of the better quality. So I said it back then because I believe the Chinese is building a lot of infrastructure around the EV, like I explained before, how the vehicles communicate to the road, how the data is collected to make decisions, how the smart city is a whole ecosystem. So I believed Tesla would be less and less compatible with the whole ecosystem they're building there, and it would lack integration with the local facility or infrastructure. And because of that, I thought it would affect the user experience to be less seamless flow. Because remember, the EV is not the only thing on the road. The road is a very complicated environment everywhere with a lot of objects, devices that all had sensors or chips communicating with each other, collecting data and make smarter decisions. The people, the drones, the Internet of Things. And throughout the whole time, I kept saying that the Chinese government is giving all the green light for Tesla, making exceptions because Tesla could help shape the supply chain of the EV industry in China. Just like how Apple had shaped the supply chain for smartphone in China, and because the smartphone supply chain had become very mature over the years, it made the later startups like Xiaomi, Oppo, or Vivo grew quite rapidly because of how mature the supply chain was. When I talked about the ET7's pricing after the NIO day, I said that investors were looking forward for NIO to have a mid-range product in order to open up the market and reach a broader consumer base. But at least they have successfully set up a higher standard and worked their way down. It's nearly impossible to have a lower-end position and then launch higher-end product. But for NIO, since they have established a high-end brand image, when they launch a lower-end product, it's gonna make the price much more attractive. I have been looking forward to a lower price model, something mid-end to slightly high-end. And recently, it seems like they are working on the slightly lower-end model that's lower than 300,000 yuan, called Gemini, and I'm looking forward to this and hoping this can help them expand to a broader base while keeping the premium image of NIO. I have shared this before. I think NIO has a very good consumer base. They are young professionals. The KOL, the key opinion leaders, post-80, maybe more post-90. They are open-minded and accepting new change. Right now, more than 50% of the new car drivers are post-95, and I think NIO is working towards building stronger brand awareness and brand loyalty among this new group. The design of the car, the marketing, and the brand image, the positioning, the strategy is working well towards this goal. When we evaluate a company, an investment, it would be much better for it to be in a rising industry, in the rising market. And I strongly believe that China will be the leader of EV in the world. And we even went through the research together to support this. The Chinese government has a strong will to succeed in the EV sector. I believe they have had this big plan, big strategy, backed up by their ability to build infrastructure, the fast speed of decision making, the good executions of the companies, the core technologies they're building, the mature manufacturing supply chain, and of course the biggest car market in the world, with the rapid rising middle class. When I am investing in the most potential company with a great business model and a strong moat in the rising industry based in the rising market, this can really help set my mind at ease regardless of the volatile pricing action, especially when I know that the Chinese government is giving out unconditional support for NIO. I have analyzed the why and the how in this. I share this part of the thinking and research in this video, and I believe this video is the most important video because when I realized that, in my mind, I have drawn out a landscape for NIO in the next 10 years, and I believe it could potentially be a giant. NIO's strategy aligns with the government's strategy. They are building the iOS system together. And this might be integrated in a much bigger plan, a much bigger picture. And if that is true, we are going to see NIO everywhere in the world. And recently, we have seen that NIO was partnering with the government to build a NIO Park. And I believe this is going to be a small test, a little module for a much bigger project in the future. Something that can potentially be expanded everywhere. A lot of investors had challenged NIO for not having their own factory. But I said I didn't mind them not having their own factory because I think it actually aligns with the government strategy. Solving a big problem of the excess of manufacturing capacity, something I have explained in the video earlier in January, transforming from Chinese manufacturer to Chinese brands. So recently, we saw that NIO is signing another contract with JAC for the coming 5 years. So I have formed my belief and long-term vision in NIO long time ago. And so far, everything I had predicted had been slowly coming true one step at a time. Every time I see the news from NIO, it just helped me confirm my belief that given enough time for NIO, we are going to see our baby NIO growing up. That's why we always knew that NIO is in high valuation, because NIO was priced in for perfection. But I'm okay to pay the premium price for NIO because of the fast growth and the massive potential in the years to come. For example, NIO is trading at a PS ratio around 15 to 20. That is considered high, but because it's growing at such a fast rate, more than 100% every year, that means the PS ratio is kept by half at least every year. So within a few months, NIO would be trading at a PS ratio around 7 to 10. And this is only the revenue part from the car sales. I think right now a lot of analysts on Wall Street are starting to realize that the whole car industry needs a different valuation model, because the old model to evaluate a car company is going to expire because they don't make much sense anymore as the business model keep changing, and they really need a more forward-looking mindset to evaluate the car industry now. The business model has changed, the revenue structure has also changed, so they cannot use the same old valuation model anymore. So even with this massive correction of destroying the valuation of growth stocks, we don't need to worry about the long-term investment for NIO, because as long as we give NIO some time, it will digest the high valuation. Investing in NIO right now is like investing in Nvidia or Amazon 10 years ago or 20 years ago. That whatever price you buy in, it's right. Even though you had bought it at high, it's okay, because in the future years to come, the curve is gonna make your price look like this. And we should just be proud that we had held through. Most of the institutions and retail investors had bought in NIO after the parabolic move in November. And a lot of them ended up cutting loss or panic selling when there was the chip shortage and the massive correction on growth stocks. But after the dust has settled, I believe they will come back in, except that the big institutions would get back in first, and the retail investors who had panic sold would end up FOMO back in. Because big institutions happen to know the news before retail investors, and as retail investors, we are at the last chain of information, and we would never know when it's too late. That's why I think the best thing for retail investors to do is to form a long-term vision on a company, establish the position you desire, and then do nothing, because it's very easy to be manipulated by the market sentiments based on the price actions. Ignore the news that's happening unless it's against your vision of the company or the fundamental has changed. So then, even with such a strong market correction we just witnessed, the fast-growing company can use time to digest the high valuation. Because it's expensive, it's high valuation for good reasons. Now there's one last thing I want to share. If the Chinese government really planned to grow the financial market in China or Hong Kong, there are two stocks that would be quite critical and important, and it is NIO and Luckin Coffee. NIO is important because it was once passing Tesla to be the #1 in terms of volume traded in the whole US stock market. I think this is the first time a Chinese stock can do that. NIO had brought a lot of attention from international investors to Chinese stocks to bring more interest and trust from international investors into Chinese stocks, the growth of Chinese economy. So I do think NIO would be critical for the Chinese stock market. And Luckin Coffee, you should know why, based on the videos I did for Luckin before. Now, if you have enjoyed this video, please give me a big like and write me a great comment, and I will see you tomorrow. That's it, guys. Hope you can find my videos helpful. Make sure you subscribe to my channel and give me a big like. Thank you.